These boys are drowning, not in water, but in expectation, and nobody is there to rescue them. In the United States, boys are dying, not just in gun violence, but from untreated depression, fentanyl, and isolation. 1 in 5 teenage boys has considered suicide, but we call them weak if they open up. In Canada, indigenous boys are still recovering from the trauma of residential schools. In Mexico, boys are kidnapped into cartels. They grow up pulling triggers, not pencils. In Honduras, boys are forced to migrate alone or be killed by gangs. We call this the developed world, but the hearts of boys here are undeveloped, unloved, and unheard. In Brazil, favelas raise boys in violence. By age 9, they've seen more dead bodies than birthdays. In Colombia, boys carry drugs through jungles instead of backpacks to school. In Argentina, boys struggle silently with the gender roles that crush their dreams. In Peru, boys in mining towns are worked like mules. In Venezuela, the economic crisis has turned teenage boys into smugglers. South America's boys are vibrant, but buried under a culture that says if you cry, you're weak. In the UK, suicide is now the top cause of death for boys aged 10 to 19. In France, immigrant boys are isolated and profiled. In Germany, boys hide anxiety behind high grades and hard stares. In Russia, boys are sent to war with no goodbye. In Ukraine, teenage boys are burying their own classmates. In Spain, boys are raised in homes where domestic violence is normalized. In Italy, many boys are caught between traditional manhood and modern identity, and they're confused, scared, and angry. Boys in Europe are polished outside, but emotionally shattered inside. Nobody sees them because their pain is quiet. In Australia, boys in rural communities suffer in silence. Mental health services are miles away, so they drink, they gamble, and they die. Aboriginal boys are 4 times more likely to end their lives. In New Zealand, even in beautiful cities, boys are taking their lives quietly because they don't feel heard. In Fiji and Papua New Guinea, boys are raised in cultures that value violence over vulnerability. These boys are drowning, not in water, but in expectation, and nobody is there to rescue them.